Have you ever found yourself reacting to something in a way that feels, well, almost childish? Or maybe you're always fighting with this constant inner critic, or you find yourself people-pleasing all the time, or you just have this deep-seated fear of any kind of conflict. You know, a lot of the time, these patterns aren't just quirks we have. They're actually echoes from our past. So today, we're going to explore how to tune into those echoes and start the really powerful process of healing them.
So, yeah, that's really the big question we're tackling. Why do these things stick with us so intensely? Well, it turns out that so many of us are carrying around the unresolved experiences of our younger selves, like every single day. And this isn't just about memories, it's about real emotional baggage that can shape our adult lives in ways we don't even see. So let's start by unpacking the one core idea that makes sense of it all.
To really get this, we have to start with the concept that kind of unlocks everything else, the inner child. Now, I'm sure you've heard this term thrown around, but let's get really clear on what it actually means from a psychological perspective. Okay, so this is super important to understand. The inner child is not a separate person living inside of you. It's not like that at all. Instead, think of it more like a psychological concept. It's the part of your mind, your psyche, that is still that young, vulnerable person. And it's holding on to all the joys, for sure, but also all the hurts and the unmet needs from those really formative years. And that, of course, leads us directly to the heart of the matter. Because if that inner child went through stuff, if it was in environments that weren't always safe or validating or loving, it can carry wounds. So let's take a look at how that actually happens. This is such a powerful metaphor, isn't it? A Swiss cheese identity. Imagine this. To survive a really tough childhood, a kid might have to shut down parts of themselves or adopt the behaviors of the people around them just to stay safe. And what that does is it creates holes in their sense of a solid whole self. It leaves them feeling kind of fragmented as an adult. So how can you tell if your inner child might be wounded? Well, it often sends out these cries for help that show up as really common adult struggles. You know, things like never being able to say no or that constant negative voice in your head. Or maybe it's that deep, gut-wrenching feeling of shame that just pops up. These things aren't character flaws. They're symptoms. They're signs of unhealed needs from way back when. Okay, so we've identified the problem, and it can feel kind of heavy. But here's the crucial part, the really good news. You're not stuck. There is a powerful, proactive way to heal these wounds. It's this concept called reparenting, where you make the decision to become the parent you always needed. Reparenting is an active, conscious process. It's about you stepping up and taking on the role of a loving parent for yourself. It means you stop waiting for somebody else to come along and fix the hurt, and you start giving that nurturing, that protection, and that unconditional love to yourself, right here, right now. This quote, it just captures the absolute core plea of that inner child. At its heart, this is what that younger part of you has always been asking for. Love, protection, to be heard, to be comforted, and to be healed. This is basically the mission statement for your new role as a loving parent. So, how in the world do we actually do this? It can feel pretty overwhelming, I know, but we can break it all down into a practical, manageable toolkit. These are not abstract ideas. These are actual skills that you can learn and practice. The whole process really rests on 3 foundational pillars. First, it starts with setting healthy boundaries, because that's what creates safety. From there, it's about actively building self-trust, proving to your inner child that you are reliable. And finally, it involves nurturing communication, so you can actually learn to hear what that part of you truly needs. Let's start with boundaries, because this is where safety really begins, and it's where a lot of us get tripped up. Many of us were taught that setting a boundary is mean or selfish, but that's a total misunderstanding. A healthy boundary is protective. It's not punitive. It's just about respecting your own limits. It can be firm, for sure, but it can also be kind. It's an act of self-care, not an act of aggression. Next up, building self-trust. Your inner child learns to trust you when you act like a trustworthy parent would. What does that look like? It means being reliable, keeping the promises you make to yourself. It means being consistent with your self-care and honest, so your actions actually line up with your values. And, so importantly, it means being respectful and kind to yourself, especially when you mess up. So how do you open up those lines of communication? It can start with really simple habits. Just carve out 10 minutes a day for quiet reflection. Ask gentle questions like, hey, what do you need right now? You could even try journaling from your inner child's point of view. But the real key is this. When a feeling comes up, your job isn't to fix it, it's to validate it. Simply saying to yourself, it's okay that you feel this way. That can be so incredibly healing. Now, sometimes emotions can feel really, really big, right? Like a storm. For those moments, you need a quick, practical tool in your back pocket. One of the most effective is called the butterfly hug. It's a simple, physical technique you can use absolutely anywhere to calm your nervous system down and just ground yourself in the present moment. And the technique itself is beautifully simple. You just cross your arms over your chest, place your hands on your opposite shoulders, and then you start to tap gently, left, then right, kind of like the flapping of butterfly wings. As you do this, just focus on taking slow, deep breaths. It's a way of giving yourself a physical hug and telling your whole system, hey, you are safe right now. So we have the tools, which is great, but it's really important to frame this whole journey in the right way. This isn't about reaching some finish line where you're suddenly cured. It's about shifting your entire relationship with yourself. So here's the key point. Reparenting is a skill, not a cure. And just like any skill, it takes practice. It's the ongoing, moment-to-moment choice to treat yourself with the patience, the kindness, and the care that maybe you didn't get consistently as a child. Some days are going to be easier than others, and that is totally okay. And why does all this matter? Why do the work? Because the rewards are just profound. When you build this inner relationship, you develop real resilience. Your self-worth isn't dependent on what other people think anymore. You become more emotionally stable, you can build healthier relationships with other people, and maybe most importantly, you cultivate this deep, unshakable sense of inner safety. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. What is one kind thing that your inner child needs to hear from you right now, in this moment?